Hi there, this is Dave Lorenzo of RainmakerLawyer.com, and today we're going to talk about trusting your gut instincts. Now, many people have told me that they've made decisions or taken on clients, and they're sitting there with the client and something just doesn't feel right. And when something doesn't feel right, you always need to trust your gut instinct. And when you're trusting your gut instinct, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to walk away from the deal instantaneously. What it means is you need to explore the thing that's bothering you the most. So here's a way, a little tip, how you can trust your gut instinct and explore what's bothering you without offending your potential client. So let's say you're out and you're having a conversation with a potential client, and it's before the client signs the retainer agreement, and something just doesn't seem right. Maybe it's something about where the client is sourcing funds for a corporate transactional deal that you're doing for him. And you want to question the client, but you don't want to come right out and question the client's integrity. So one of the things you can do is you can say, Jim, let's say Jim's the client, Jim, one of my friends had a deal in the past. He does the same thing I do, and he had a deal in the past where everything seemed great and he was getting along with the potential client, and it turns out the funds weren't sourced from a proper place. Turns out that the funds were either very difficult to source or the funds had come from a very shady source. I was a little concerned when my friend told me this, and he was concerned as well, and the whole deal fell apart, and my friend the lawyer got in trouble for being involved with that. How does that situation make you feel, Jim? And you say, so basically what you're doing is you're saying to Jim, how does that situation make you feel? And Jim will say something like, hey, don't worry about it. This deal is completely fine. The funds are coming from XYZ. And if Jim doesn't come out and say that, then you know you have a problem. But 99% of the time, if everything's legitimate, Jim will say, oh, I understand what you're saying. Those can be very tricky situations. You always want to make sure the funds are good. In this deal, the funds are coming from XYZ. So using third-party stories is a great way to express dissatisfaction or concern when there's a situation that comes up that may be uncomfortable for you to handle. Another opportunity to do so may be, let's say you're involved in a matter that has, and the other person has acted in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. You can say, once upon a time I was working with Mr. XYZ, and he said to me these three things, and they made me feel really uncomfortable. How would you feel if somebody said that to you, Jim? And Jim will say, well, I wouldn't feel very good, and all of a sudden Jim will put two and two together in his head, and he will realize that he made you feel uncomfortable by something that he said. Third-party stories are a great, great way to make sure that you cover ground that makes you feel uncomfortable when dealing with a client without actually offending the client himself. My name is Dave Lorenzo, and for more great tips, you can find me at RainmakerLawyer.com. Thanks very much for watching, and have a fantastic day.